Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we're going to have something that tends to put the fear of God in most people, and and with good reason as well. We are going to have a look at the scolopendra dehaani, which is an Asian centipede. Now these come under many different names, and there's many locations as well that come under. So you'll often find many of these centipedes are all dehaanis, but they get different names depending on where they've come from. So they're locality names, if you like. How correct these are is anyone's guess, really. It really comes down to where they're being caught and the people that document where they've come from. So it's one of them things that's a really difficult thing for the hobby to try and classify and get them in the right spaces. But generally speaking, these dehaanis, the Asian centipedes, are a little bit of a handful. So what we're going to do, we are going to set up this 30 by 30 by 30, which I find these and the 20 by 20 by 30s really good for my centipedes. We've had many over the years, and that's how we've always housed them. Since we've come back into this room, we haven't had any centipedes, and it's something that I would like to try and do a little bit more of and get a few more. So this is the first one that we're going to have in this room. We picked this one up at the Coventry show, and we're hoping, well, I'm hoping that we're actually going to get this one out on a log and see if we can't get a really good close look at it. These are exceptionally fast, and they do have a very potent bite. So we will have to be on our best day, really. Yeah, we're going to have to be really on it. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to fill this up. We've got some normal old stuff here. Should just about have enough. We don't need a huge amount of stuff. These guys, they will burrow down, but I find most of them are more happy if they're looking at actually digging themselves underneath something. So we're going to put a nice piece of wood in there. That's it, that'll be all right. So this is all we're going to do. We've got a really nice piece of wood here. I'm going to put this in here. I want to try and get that sort of foresty look. We've got a couple of plants as well. These palms will actually look really nice in this sort of setup. Give it that bit of that Asian look. That's the idea anyway. Now your centipedes can be a little bit tough on plants, and they are, as a whole, generally very strong things. They're a powerful beast, exceptionally fast, which is pretty much what you would imagine with something with so many legs. These things can take off at a rate of knots. I'll put that in there like that. So you notice this time we'll put our plants in first. Now this soil that we put in here, you'll probably notice it's actually it's quite dry. There is a moisture content to it, but it's reasonably dry as well, which is what we want. It's going to give our centipede somewhere to disappear to and hide. That's actually going to look really nice. We're going to put a piece of moss in as well, which we're going to stick over here. I often find with centipedes that they'll actually hide under a piece of moss. They'll sit under there quite happily. And we've got a nice water bowl as well. I'm going to put that up the back here. Now centipedes, once they get sorted out and they settle down, you'll find them really quite active, especially in the evenings and of a night time. They really are active, and this is the time to catch them doing all their normal stuff. and see them actually moving around, especially when they're hunting. When they're hunting, they are phenomenal. Really something else. So we're going to stick a bit of moisture on this moss here. Quite a dried out piece of moss this, so we'll give it a bit of water. Now, these guys do like humidity. And one of the things with centipedes is that they can dry out. So it's very important that we keep them hydrated. And we can do most of that through our food, but they still require some form of humidity within their enclosure as well. So there we go, that is going to be our enclosure. Now I can hear you all screaming about how on earth are you going to keep that in there, because now this is a sort of a touchy subject really with centipedes. Now most people that buy centipedes are afraid of them. Most of them are absolutely terrified of them, but they have got this thing that just draws you in, and you see one and you're like, I've got to give it a go, I've got to have a go. So then there's been all these amazing designs that have come out to keep centipedes in, because most people are worried about their centipede getting out. Now I find with the Komodos, I have never lost a centipede out of a Komodo tank yet. They don't come out of these tanks. And with the mesh, if I show you them, the mesh, these have got it's like a pressed steel top. So they're very, very strong. These guys will not chew out of one of these. We've kept the big giants in these perfectly fine. They don't get out. So yes, so there's not been an awful lot of effort about double topped, so you've got 2 lids on the top before you can get in. I've even seen them with 3 lids on the top. I mean, blimey, you know, this is not the devil incarnated we're keeping in here. This is just a centipede. So I don't think, personally, I don't think you need these double top things, triple top. I've seen them with fancy things where they got glass running this way, then glass running this way. Oh my God, it's just incredible. Fair play to the ingenuity of some of these things, but I really don't think it's necessary. So what we've done here, you can sit here and think, well, that centipede's going to climb up that and be out in a flash. And the chances are, yes, it probably will. But that being said, once our centipede is in and established, it won't be going anywhere. And because of the way they live, they're pretty nocturnal, so you don't see a lot of them in the daytime. So when you come to feed your centipede or do maintenance, you want to get the water bowl out, anything like that, if you're doing it in the daytime, your centipede is going to be tucked underneath that piece of moss or behind this piece of wood. He has got no interest in moving. He is not going to be coming out unless you start rummaging around. So straight away, we do our maintenance in the daytime. We don't have any problems whatsoever. We don't need to worry about this centipede getting out. And like I say, with these sliding lids, they're very, very secure. They're very strong, and you can rest easy. You know, these guys just aren't going to get through this stuff. And we have kept a lot of them. We've never had an issue. Once that goes on tight like that, there is no single way out for this centipede. So that being said, let's have a look at the centipede, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to move this out of the way. And we are going to try and get our centipede on a piece of bark. So this is going to be, you might hear in my voice a little bit, I am absolutely full of cold at the moment. So hence my heavy breathing. Right, we are going to try and get this centipede onto this piece of bark, and then hopefully we can maneuver it and have a look, and it don't all go Pete Tong on us. So let's have a look, shall we? We're going to take the lid off. Now, these guys are often sold in these bra plast tubs, and they're perfectly fine. Here we go. Now, you do need to show these guys some respect, because like we said, they are very, very fast. They will bite at the slightest excuse. So do be very, very careful. Now, there isn't much on a centipede that you can touch that it won't react to. So we have to be very, very careful. I think you're going to get, in a moment, you're going to get an example of just how fast these things can move. They are very, very fast. So we're going to try and get this guy to come out onto this piece of log. So what we're going to do, we're going to touch it. Now, quite often or not, if you touch the rear end, the front end will fly around to investigate what it was. Now, we're taking a chance here by doing this, mucking about. I don't suggest that you do this unless you are comfortable with centipedes. So, you see that? We literally just touched it and straight away it reacted. It acts like it's asleep. I can assure you it is not. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move it very, very slowly. Notice his antennas are really, here we go, we're waking up a little bit now.
Zoomed out quite a bit so we don't miss it.
Yeah, we are at the back end of our centipede. These will run up a paintbrush very easily. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to hopefully get it to walk out. Now, of course, the difficult thing is keeping your eye on it. Now, hopefully, in a minute, it will settle down. We need to be very careful of our fingers. Probably a little bit difficult for the camera to try and keep up with this.
We're just watching you move it.
As you notice at the moment, we're quite calm, quite well behaved. We have got our catch cup sitting here ready, just in case. You notice how they're using their body to look out all over the place. To be fair, this lump of bark is not the lightest piece of bark. I could have done with a lighter piece, really, because this really is quite heavy. Now, as we were saying, in terms of centipedes, if you're reasonably confident with a centipede, then you know you can get away with an awful lot. If you're new to centipedes, I would steer clear of the Asian centipedes because they generally are the ones that are more aggressive in their behavior. The American centipedes tend to be a little bit more docile, a little bit less venomous. You know, the venom isn't quite as potent. But your Asian ones really are quite the handful. This one is being almost, this one hasn't found second gear yet. See how it's, okay, that's hanging. It's very difficult to do this, but I'm hoping you're getting some pretty good footage. Now with these guys, we can sex these centipedes, but to do it requires us to actually pop their organs out. And we have done this in the past. And what we do is we put our centipede to sleep. We use CO2 and it's literally just succumbs them and they literally fall asleep, and that allows us to check them and we can have a look, we can pop their sexual organs and we can see whether we've got males and females. And I believe this is the only true way of being able to sex them. I don't think there is any way of visually sexing them. It doesn't do them any harm at all. It literally just puts them to sleep for a little while. And then before you know it, they're back up and running. Now you can see now, as I'm talking, the air from my breath is passing over, and you can see her checking out these things so she can be able to taste that air. He, she, I'm not sure what it is.
We need her to stop moving so I can get a really good look.
She does not want to stop. She's getting a little bit edgy there, look. Probably looking for somewhere dark. Now the interesting thing is now, is I've actually put the lid on the enclosure.
I nearly said that to you. Do you want me to get it up?
No, we're all right for the moment. So as you can see, giving it a little bit of space, it's not actually that bad. So you can just maybe settling down a little bit. There we go. I must admit, it's a little disconcerting when it goes around the back of something and you don't know where it's going, especially when your hands. Now there is videos of these guys on YouTube with different people actually handling them, and many of them have said that they do in fact get used to a certain amount and they feel less and less threatened and they're capable of actually handling them. Now I'm not sure I would suggest anybody do that, but there are videos out there to see if that's your thing. See how she's testing, she's looking for somewhere else to go. She's such a heavy piece of bark. She's not going to stand still, is she? I was wondering about when that was going to happen. So now we're going to let her have a little walk about, as long as she don't go anywhere. What we don't want is them starting to get really, really quick, like she is now. You see now as her speed has picked up, she's moving now. Right. Come in here. Oh, blimey. Here we go. Right. As you saw there, you get a little tiny bit of a thing about just how fast these guys can actually move. Now some of that would have been down to the fact that she's not got the purchase on the table, so sometimes that can freak them out a little bit. Yeah, they literally do slide a little bit, but as you saw there, give me a chance to get the lid off the enclosure anyway, they're very, very quick, so you need to be aware when you're playing around with these things that you've got a little bit of room. You'll notice as well that I cleared the desk. I made sure there was nothing on the desk, which allows us to actually, you know, give it that space and makes it easier for us to be able to catch. Now, there's an interestingly thing there now. You notice now she's literally just sat there, so she's not doing anything. Whereas when she was on the log, she was very, very quick to move. So what we're going to do now, we are going to move her over into her enclosure, and then we can get to see her moving around in there, and hopefully We can get some nice pictures of her as well. So we're going to... This is the time where you need to be a little bit careful when you're putting them in the enclosure. So we're just making sure that our lid's not attached. What we're going to do, we're going to put the front on. So I don't know about them one getting out, I can't get in. There we go. There we go. Right, so what I'm going to do now, it's all right. Calm yourself. Nice and gently. And don't drop your lid. So you'll see there now, she's actually checking out that piece of wood. Can you get in closer? If you come in closer, you'll lose the reflection. I can try and take this lid off. Get a bit more light on her.
It has helped a lot.
There you go.
Can you angle it so the glass isn't facing at us? That's it. Perfect.
What we're going to do now, I'm going to try and get a couple of pictures while she's actually sat still. Because as you saw there, they don't sit still for long. Now then, as she's actually sitting there now, it might be possible to see they don't really show up too well, but you can see their lungs. Every second segment you can see a lung running through there. She actually looks really, really cool on there. I can just come round. You see how she looks, that almost looks like a piece of forest there. She's looking absolutely wonderful. I really like that. Let's see if I can get a picture of her there. That's really nice.
Do you want to get some?
She's settled down nicely now. Now, one of the reasons this might be is because she's now in something that's obviously not. She doesn't know. It's all very foreign to her, and you'll find that they'll be tasting that.
You say she's got some lungs.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty much every second segment, but it's quite.
Oh, yes, we can.
You can see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are what she breathes through. Now, one of the things we were saying earlier on was about the humidity. These guys do like it humid. So 78% humidity anywhere around there is good, but they don't like it being wet. So as long as they've got somewhere dry to actually hide away and rest, that's all they need. And in terms of keeping them hydrated, we do that through their food. So, and they will drink. You know, you can actually... We've done it before with our water sprayers and our droplets. We can literally just feed them water and you'll see them taking it on. It's really, really quite incredible. So although they have the ability to be a very, very scary individual, they really are a fascinating thing as well. Now, one of the things that we can look for, if you're looking for a healthy centipede, if you look on the antenna on this one, you'll see they're pink all the way through. Same with the legs. The legs are that lovely sort of creamy colour. If your centipede is suffering in any way, generally speaking, the antenna will actually end up going black and you will see black marks coming through the legs as well. This is often a sign that these guys are not happy, and quite often or not, it's normally down to the fact that they're in a situation that is too damp. So it's very important that they have somewhere nice and dry to actually to rest up. and keep themselves, you know, in tip-top form. But you can see there, absolutely every appendage on this beast can grip like a vice. And like I said earlier on, they can run up a pencil or a paintbrush or anything like that. They will run up it as quick as blink. So you have to be very aware of just how dexterous they are. And if you do happen to get one on you or on something that you're trying to remove it from, you will feel the power. They really are incredibly strong. And like I say, that their mandibles, which are in fact the very first, what would have been the very first set of legs on the front there, and they are huge and they have immense power in them. Now, in terms of food, these guys will eat just about anything. They even will take on a little bit of fruit and stuff like that. So it's worth trying them. Maybe, you know, a little bit of apple or something like that. They'll often take it. Anything that's not like fruit-wise, if it's broken down a little bit, we found they take it better. So if you've got a really ripe pear or something like that, try a little bit of that. Don't leave it in there for long though. Just leave it in overnight. If it's gone in the morning, it's gone. If it's not, remove it. You don't want to be attracting sort of fruit flies and things in there. They'll take any living insect and they will tackle big stuff. So they're absolutely awesome predators. We have seen them, and we've done it occasionally ourselves, fed them pinkies. If we get one that's a little bit underweight and we want to get some weight on it because it's not looking too good, we've fed them pinkies before now, and they will munch through it. Some people feed them bits of chicken. It's incredible what these guys will eat. They're pretty much an omnivorous thing. They'll take on pretty much anything. I'm surprised that she's actually sat there so still.
I'm pleased.
Yeah, she's very, very happy.
Watching her antennae, they did a little tiniest bit of curling at the end.
Yep. Now these guys are pretty much work the same as spiders in the fact that they will pick up vibration, anything like that. They are so tuned into their world that the slightest little movement and these guys can react to it instantly. And in many respects, these are much faster in the way they react than spiders. They really are a formidable thing. Can you imagine one of these at 4 foot long? Cool, dearie me. I wouldn't want to be in this room with it, that's for sure. They really are super things. So as we said, these are found all over Asia. If you are interested in getting a centipede and you've not got any yet, I would have a look at some of the American centipedes. Stay away from the Asian stuff. It's very much like the spiders. You go to Asia, everything's a little bit hard, you know, a little bit hardwired out there, and it's all, you know, all tends to be a bit more of a handful. If you go to the Americas, you'll find that the centipedes there and some of the desert centipedes and that, they are just as fast. They do everything just the same, but they're a little bit less potent and a little bit more laid back. So, you know, you might find it easier to go with some of them. A very interesting one are the flagtail centipedes. They're only a small centipede. That's a nice beginner sort of thing, you know, going for one of them. Again, equally just as fast, but not so likely to give you a nasty bite, as one of these is more than capable of doing. Right, well, she seems to be quite chilled out now. It's almost like she's frozen. Looks like a taxidermy thing, doesn't it? Looks like she's just been placed there. Right then, well, I hope you enjoyed that little look and a little chance to see just how these things move about. And as you saw in the log, they don't hang around. They're constantly on the go, and this is what makes them quite difficult to handle. But I think she's done really well. Very well behaved. Right then, until next time, don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you all soon, guys.